Last week was intense, am I right? But don't worry, this week we only have a few transits. It's pretty calm, so we can ease into all the changes and tension that last week brought. Hello and welcome back to the Hella Fluid Collective podcast. I am your host, Sarah, and I love connecting astrology and small business. Whether you have a small business, whether you're a creative, or just somebody who's into astrology, this is the podcast for you, where you can get your weekly and monthly horoscopes to find out what's going on in the sky. It's geared towards business owners because I have a little tidbit at the end of every transit that connects it to your business. So it's applicable for everybody, okay? Even if you aren't a business owner, just skip over that part. Or, there's a lot of advice that you could use in your workplace as well, even if it's not your own business. Also, if you want that month ahead horoscope delivered straight to your inbox, where you also get the blog, and on the blog, you get spicy, supportive, and dynamic days, which help you look at all the transits a month ahead so that you can plan a little bit. Then make sure you sign up for my email newsletter, which you can do by finding the link in the show notes. The May forecast will be coming out this week, so make sure you jump on that. On this episode, we are talking about the astrology for the week of April 28th through March 4th. And let's go ahead and dive in. The first day that we have an exact transit is on Wednesday, April 30th, and that's Venus moving into the sign of Aries. Now, Venus has already been here, but we had that little retrograde, so we are experiencing this energy again. But don't worry, it is a forward motion, which is wonderful, because Venus doesn't really like being in Aries. The quality of Aries kind of dims down the qualities of Venus. So she's at a disadvantage in this sign, which means that we have to work a little bit harder in regards to our relationships, in regards to our finances, to the things we value, including ourselves. But at the same time, it also brings passion and independence and directness into all of those things as well, too. So sometimes it's nice to be a little bit more direct in our relationships, especially those where maybe we give away a little bit too much of our power. It's nice to assert ourselves so that we can be heard and get the respect we deserve. And who doesn't love to bring a little bit more passion into our relationships? This doesn't have to just be romantic relationships as well, too. We can get really excited to spend time with our besties and do something above and beyond for them just because we want to. I will say watch for impulsive spending during this time, because Aries loves to just do now, think about it later. And Venus rules our finances, so it's easy to spend money during this transit. And Venus will be here until June 5th. So it's a little bit of time here, so just be careful with your spends. I will say, because Aries is more focused on the self, this is a great time to practice self-love. What does that look like for you? What could you work on to be more consistent with loving yourself regardless of what you're producing, what you're doing, through all the stages of who you are? On the other hand, be mindful of centering yourself and your needs in other relationships. There's such thing as balance. The other person has needs, you have needs, and they're equally important. And finding some space where you can both compromise, if need be, is more ideal than only one person compromising. As for business owners, this is a great energy to start a new project that you really, really love or value. Aries loves to initiate and start new things. And when we tie it to something that we are really excited about and are wrapped around our values, it's going to feel that much more rewarding under this transit. You don't have to finish it. It's just about getting started. The next day that we have an exact transit is Friday, May 2nd, and that is Venus forming a conjunction to Neptune. Now, we've had these two doing a little dance since February. They first connected on February 1st. Then, and this was in Pisces, And then they connected again when Venus was retrograding on March 27th. And now they're connecting for the final time in a different sign in Aries. So think back to those times of February 1st and March 27th. What came up for you in regards to your creativity, your romanticism in your relationships, any confusion that came up in your relationships or your finances? Those things could come back around for this final closing of the chapter energy. It could mean that any of that fogginess that came up in any of those areas finally get resolved. It's also a really good time to practice boundaries in your relationships and with finances too. With that whole Venus and Aries energy we were just talking about, being more assertive in your relationships, this could be a time when you are faced with what you need to assert yourself with more in those relationships. Or if you're spending too much money, that may come up now and how you can set more boundaries for yourself. Something that I have created in the past few months is a purchase think tank. And whenever I want to purchase something, I have to let it sit for a while before immediately purchasing it, unless it's something that I really need or I already know that I like restocking my vitamins or something like that. But if it's something new, it has to sit there for a while and I can come back to it. And if I want it later, then I will buy it. But I can't buy anything without it sitting in the think tank for some time. I don't have a limit, but whenever it feels right, I lean into my intuition. Now, on the more easier side of this transit, Venus and Neptune both have to do with creativity. So if you want to tap into the energy of creativity on or around this day, that could be really beneficial. Maybe creating, it can also be very romantic. So if you have somebody that you trust that you want to get really romantic with, today is a lovely day to do that. And I say someone you really trust because Venus and Neptune energy can bring about situationships or some sort of idealism of what we think a certain relationship is. So maybe not going full blown with somebody that you don't trust around this day or really anytime, because it may turn out to be something different than you expect. As for business owners, I would create a little bit of space on this day for you to create in a free flow state. I've mentioned this before when these two have connected, and I think it's such a powerful thing to do anyways, but especially powerful on this day because our spirituality and our intuition is really aligned on this day. So it can bring you ideas that are really meant for you. And what I mean by free flow is no expectations, no goals. Maybe you have an idea of what you want to do, but we're not going into it with a list, if you know what I mean. Just kind of get started and see what comes up. Let it go. Let it flow. See what you're called to. The last day that we have an exact transit is Sunday, May 4th, and that is Pluto stationing retrograde. Now, this Pluto retrogrades for about 6 months every single year, so this is not really that big of a deal. It's something that we feel half the time. It will be retrograding until October 14th, and this is a time to really reflect on the big transformations that we and society have gone through since its station direct, which was last October. Think about power dynamics that you're in, that are created within society. How have those changed? And it's time to take all of those things and process them internally and focus more on the transformations and the power dynamics we have internally so that when it goes direct, we can take what we've learned and practice it externally. It's a nice period that allows us to slowly unravel what we need to let go. Pluto is all about death and rebirth, and so it's about letting things go so that we can make space for the new. It's a time where we can reclaim our own power. What are we giving too much power to, and what kind of work can we do, soul work, whatever you want to call it, to help us regain power? Maybe it's letting go of some external pressures, letting go of some beliefs that just simply don't align with us anymore, whatever it may be. As for business owners, we're going to apply the same concept to your business. Pluto loves to analyze, so it'd be a great time, over the next few months. It's a long transit, so I don't always suggest one thing over the next 6 months, but we could start to look into streamlining and letting go of things that are draining your energy. Pluto is in Aquarius, so that gives this flavor of stepping into your originality and what makes you unique. This invites us to start to change our businesses to not necessarily contort to business 101 or the best business strategies, but instead have it reflect who we are as entrepreneurs. That's the beautiful thing about small businesses, is that they can really be aligned with who you are as an individual. The business owner, a lot of that person's energy goes into the creation of this business. And so it's about letting go of the things that don't align with you as a business owner and not forcing them to go in your business because we think that's what we're supposed to do. So this would be a good 6 months to kind of reflect on what changes you've made in that vein over the past 6 months and how we can continue to make strides in that direction. Okay, that's it. Those are all the transits for this week. Nice and chill week, nothing too wild. We really only have one aspect, that Venus conjunct Neptune. The other ones are planets moving into a new sign or planets changing direction, so it's nothing too intense, which is great. Last week was intense, so it'd be nice to just have a bit of calmness to let things settle down a little bit. I hope you have a beautiful week. Until next time, stay hella fluid, y'all.